Thanks, Matthew. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council Cabinet meeting on Wednesday, the 20th of November 2024. Please note this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. So we'll move on to agenda item 1, which is apologies for absence. Thank you, Caris. Agenda item 2, any declarations of interest? No, we haven't any. Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item 3, which is the future direction for school improvement services. To consider the report from the Director of Education. Councillor Gareth Lewis, would you like to refer to the report, please?
An introduction, the report focuses on the future direction of school improvement services at Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, and is a result of a national Welsh Government decision to review roles and responsibilities of education partners in Wales and the delivery of school improvement arrangements, which for Merthyr Tydfil is currently delivered regionally by the Central South Consortium. Known as the Middle Tier Review, it was put in place following concerns that arrangements did not sit well with the local authority statutory responsibilities for the performances of schools in their area. The review was led by Professor Dylan Jones, who reported back to the then Cabinet Secretary for Education back in January 2024. There were important and consistent messages here during the review. For example, school leaders felt overwhelmed by the amount of changes in the system, and there was a lack of clarity about national reforms. School leaders expressed concerns about the value added by the regional consortia, and there was a lot of concerns about a culture of being done to instead of being done with. And school leaders felt there was little or no support for some of the biggest challenges facing schools currently, such as attendance and behaviour. Further details of the information gathered throughout the review can be found in Appendix 1 of the report. The report sets out the Council's response to the conclusion of the National Review and outlines the foundations that will address the concerns and issues raised within it. It details a number of principles that have been agreed by the 5 local authorities in the Central South Consortium area, and Cabinet approval is now needed for all local authorities in the consortium to agree the key principles that set the future direction of school improvement services and also future delivery of the curriculum and professional learning. It sets out a framework to enable school improvement services to develop so that our head teachers have a greater opportunity to lead on school improvement matters, enabled by greater collaboration and partnership working between school leaders and local authorities. Over the past few months, there has been engagement with head teachers and officers for each of the 5 authorities within the CSC, where they have collectively considered these future arrangements. This work has been led by Joanne Daniels, who has supported the 5 local authorities. And I'd like to thank Joanne for her work to date. And thanks also to head teachers and senior leaders, chair of governors, officers and staff at the consortium for their work during this period. From our engagement, we know that schools are keen to work together to support school improvement, and we welcome the opportunity for peer reviews and self-evaluation. Most schools want opportunities to work with schools that share common challenges, while also working with the schools that bring diversity of thought and approach. There are lots of good examples of current collaborative arrangements across our schools, and they are mentioned in Appendix 2 of the report. The exact operating model will be developed over the coming months and will be presented to members in the spring of next year. I welcome the key principle that the delivery of school improvement function will return to the local authority. And it's also important that we continue to capitalise on the benefits of regional working. The recommendations are set out in 2.1 through to 2.3 of the report, and they are the development of core elements of a future operating model as outlined in section 4 be approved. Further reports detailing further specific financial implications and final models be presented to members in spring 2025 be approved. And finally, the giving of delegated authority to the Director of Education in consultation with the portfolio member for education be approved. I so moved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Anna Williams-Price.
Thank you. Happy to second.
Thank you. Before I open it up to any questions, Sue, would you like to add any comments, or shall I take it straight to the questions?
And take it straight to questions, please, Chair.
Okay, can we open it up to questions? Councillor Anna Williams-Price.
Thank you. Can I ask what detail is available at present about what the new governance arrangements will look like under this new model?
There are some governance arrangements outlined in the appendix, which is where we've got to at the moment. But no final decision has been made until we actually move forward on creating what the actual model looks like. So within the report, Andrew, do you want to go on? But you can say a little bit about the governance aspects.
So at present, we've looked at the type of structures that are within the Welsh Government guidance for us to look at how we can create boards, which would be made up of both local authority officers, head teachers, as well as sort of wider kind of partners to give an element of challenge around that as well. So those boards then would help to make some decision making around professional learning, to make sure that the locality priorities are kind of maximised, and part of the professional learning that would then be fed up into a kind of regional model as such. Making sure that head teachers are involved within that so that they become owners and take that collective responsibility that's outlined within the guidance as well. So that's kind of as far as we've got at the moment. The elements around the different types of collaborations would also be part of those governance arrangements. Looking forward to include things like the terms of reference and clarity around roles and responsibilities as well. And some of those we've started to kind of think about what that might look like in terms of what a role of an improvement partner might be, what the role of head teachers might be, what the role of local authority officers within that as well.
Thank you. And one further question, thank you. At this stage, how can we, at this stage, in terms of the new model, do we have assurances that it will be more cost effective for the local authority?
We don't have any assurance that it'll be more cost effective. The current amount of money that we put into the consortium will not fund, for their core element, will not fund the school improvement model moving forward. We would have to look at the local authority education grant to actually support this moving forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Williams-Price. Councillor Minette-Vokes.
Thank you. So do all school leaders accept that this is the best way forward for school improvement?
All school leaders, as Andrea said, are very keen on on supporting each other and doing network activities. You know, they do work closely together. They work in clusters. They work across clusters. And in the appendix, you've got some examples of where we've had that. The idea of taking on board the accountability aspect, which gives us the information that we need to undertake our statutory powers, is something that they are challenging us on. I think that's fair to say, which is why in the model we've included improvement partners. So you've got that extra element of that accountability aspect. There would still be improvement partners to be able to sort of have that direct information coming back to us so we can use our statutory powers if needed.
Okay, so are you confident that the local authority has the capacity to deliver school improvement?
I think we've got the capacity to do it with the head teachers and to ensure that we have the information with the improvement partners that we need to know our schools best, which is what we want, and to be able to support our schools and challenge our schools to do the very best for the children and young people, and to actually have the information at our fingertips to know where the challenge and support needs to go in.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Screen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It sort of touched on my question a bit really when Anna asked her question. Just in terms of the professional learning offer, and obviously I understand obviously you're talking about the local and regional focus now and the improvement that we'll see. So, in what way, in different to the previous model that's been used, like what improvements do you think we'll see to our sector of education by moving to that model?
I think just for the professional learning.
Yeah.
We haven't looked at the new model of professional learning in any detail. I think Andrew can give a little bit more information about what the national expectation is. But as directors, we haven't looked at what that model will look like. We have in discussions before the end of this term on what do we want. We're looking at various models across Wales to see how they're actually delivering it, to ensure that we've got a service that can provide for our schools, but can also be reactive and actually give them up-to-date information and sort of give them the support that they actually need. So I can't answer that question. Andrew can give a little bit more information about the some of the national plans. But as a region or a sub-region, whichever way we're going to deliver our professional learning, we have, as directors, we haven't got to that point yet.
In terms of the national plans, there are some moves towards development of national support programmes. So they will be around the key priorities of curriculum, literacy, numeracy, those that have been outlined by the Cabinet Secretary as her kind of real focus areas. So at the moment, there's a lot of work going on that have now incorporated local authorities, whereas previously not necessarily so, to roll out a different, more kind of national focused elements. Also, links to leadership and the development of that area will be moved within to Welsh Government, and an organisation there will be developed from there. So, for example, the National Academy of Education and Leadership, their kind of current functions are being moved within that area. In terms of localised, it's about responding to the localised need as well. So those are the kind of discussions I'm having with the head teachers at the moment in terms of, well, what is working well? What are you seeing that's working well? And what's missing to be able to respond to their school improvement needs as well around that. So as Sue mentioned there about the flexibility and agility, that's not necessarily there within the current system because it's a programme that exists rather than a programme that's needed for a particular school as well. So that's kind of where our discussions with head teachers are, and we're trying to kind of involve them, almost sort of trying to preempt things that might come our way, so that we can do things with the heads rather than to them.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, I'm saying a chance to look at, yes, it's too early, or you're not aware of other models at the moment for best practice that work. We're not aware of that at the moment,
We're looking at other practices that across Wales and across England, because you've got the MAT approaches across England as well that we're actually looking at. But as directors, we focused on the school improvement aspect first, rather than actually looking at the professional learning aspect.
No problem. That's great. Thank you both. Thanks, Chair.
Have we got any more questions? Councillor Lewis?
Can you tell us what the advantages are of the new model as opposed to the existing model, please?
I think you touched upon it in your opening remarks, Councillor, when you said it's about being, schools feeling that the current system is being done to. This new system is being done with. It's very much being, I'll use the word co-constructed. I don't really like it, but it's being co-constructed with the head teachers and having that dialogue. We've had the dialogue with governors as well, as to how this is going to work and how this is going to develop. So it feels a far more partnership arrangement rather than an arm's length service, which I think we've increasingly felt as directors we've been having over the last number of years.
Good. And finally, from myself, given the small size of our local authority, will cross-local authority partnerships continue?
Definitely. I think one of the intentions is, we don't have a Welsh medium secondary school, so those schools will need to link in with RCT. We only have one special school and one PRU, so there'd been elements of that. And I know Andrea has already sort of made some links with schools in Caerphilly, schools in Swansea. So we're not only looking at the Central South region for for support for our schools. We're actually looking wider than that as well.
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. There's no more questions. No? Okay. We'll take it to comments. Have we got any comments, please? No comments. We'll take that to the vote then. Oh. You're more than welcome, Councillor Lewis. Yes.
Apologies. I was obviously aware that if I speak, I close the debate. Okay, to sum up, we are supportive of the new school improvement arrangements. Head teachers will have a greater opportunity to lead on school improvement matters, and there will be greater collaboration and partnership work in between school leaders and the local authority, leading to more effective practice whilst continuing the benefits of regional working. I do urge Welsh Government to ensure that changes to school improvement services here in Merthyr Tydfil are properly funded. The recent UK government budget increased funding on public services in England and means that Wales will see a 1.7 billion top-up in Barnet formula consequentials coming to Welsh Government budget to increase spending in Wales. A significant amount of this revenue needs to be directed to education to support areas such as school improvement. Welsh Government now have an opportunity to start the process of reversing a generation of underfunding of schools and our education system. Education, and particularly schools' budgets, have been hammered by consecutive year-on-year cuts, resulting in eye-watering budget deficits at primary and secondary level, not just across Merthyr Tydfil, but throughout Wales. It means the school leaders face impossibly difficult decisions, whilst also trying their damnedest to improve standards, increase attainment, and ensure our young people have the best outcomes. The UK government budget has shown that even in times of financial frugality, increases in public money can be made available. So now is the time for Welsh Government to make good on their commitment to improve standards in numeracy and literacy by funding schools appropriately. Otherwise, how can we deliver on the very essence of this report, which is to improve our schools? A recent National Association of Head Teachers Cymru budget report titled The Deepening School Funding Crisis in Wales highlighted the acute financial pressures currently facing schools. And I'd like to end with a quote from that report. With the right levels of funding, we can support the next generation of citizens of Wales to flourish and meet their full potential. We cannot afford to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. So on that note, can we take it to the vote, please? Thank you, Caris. We'll move on to agenda item 4, which is any other business deemed urgent by the chair. I haven't any, apart from, I'm not sure if you're all aware, but I'm going on holidays tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Good night.